So next up, we've got Mr. Game & Watch, who in the original game represented...
Hate's character.
He didn't represent hate, he represented the original sort of old school retro games. So something that represents the old school. With that in mind, I've chosen Oswald, the Lucky Rabbit. So this is...
I know who it is. He's like Mickey, like before Mickey.
When Disney first started, he was working for a different company.
Yeah.
So he was working for a company making Oswald cartoons. This was his very first ever popular character. He didn't have the rights for Oswald.
So he made another mouse.
So when things went a bit south with the production company, he was like, screw you guys, I'm making my own one. And he basically just like turned the rabbit into a mouse and started making Mickey Mouse cartoons, and the rest is history.
That's nuts, isn't it?
Oh, and what's also interesting about Oswald is because Disney didn't have the rights to him, they've not been able to use the character. But then about 10-15 years ago, they did a deal with the company that still had the rights to Oswald. They basically traded one of their most popular sports presenters to this other company if we get the rights for Oswald back.
As if they switched a human being for an animated character.
Kind of crazy, right?
What?
Okay, so believe it or not, I don't actually know that much about Oswald, so I've been watching a few of his old classic shorts to try and find movesets for him.
You don't know Oswald?
Obviously, he could punch people, he can like do the splits. Obviously, everyone punches people in this game. He can like do the splits, so like attack both sides.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or not, his ears come off sometimes in the animation. It's crazy. And I thought he could use these ears like as a boomerang. Comes back.
Back onto his ear or back into his hand? Into his ear.
Yeah, so he can still carry on fighting. He'll be like...
I think you fight like this.
Also, because he's like an old school, it's called like rubber hose animation, when the limbs are just sort of like loosey-goosey. So he's got like extendable limbs that just like punch a little bit further than...
So you can like go all the way around the stage?
Not that much.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Also, because he is a rabbit, he could have like little thumper feet going on. A little bit like Donkey Kong, like boom, 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 boom. Also, he can blow a little raspberry, like... Might like knock people back a little bit. I don't know. When they first got the rights back for Oswald, the first thing they did with him is put him in an iconic game called Epic Mickey. It was on the Nintendo Wii. Your main weapon is like a paintbrush, so I thought we could use that to reference that game.
As just a normal move?
Yeah, so he gets a paintbrush out. I was like, pow.
Right.
Outfits now. So for his first look, it'll be like classic Oswald, kind of flat like Mr. Game & Watch. It's like 2D.
Right. Oh, that's why you picked him.
Then this is how he looked in Epic Mickey when he made his comeback, his return. And then I decided for his other costumes, I'll kind of reference other cartoon characters from this era that have kind of been forgotten. This one referenced Horace Horsecollar. This one is called Peter Pig. So for his last 4 costume slots, I thought he could also play looking like Hortensia.
Right. Great name.
So he'll have the exact same moveset, but we could also reference his girlfriend at the time. So she'll have her classic look. And then we've got the Epic Mickey look, and then we've done some color swaps to reference some female forgotten characters. We've got Clarabelle Cow and Clara Cluck.
What was Clarabelle Cow in recently?
Chip and Dale. She was like the teacher right at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
So in Smash Bros Melee, Mr. Game & Watch's stage is Flat World, and it's basically like you're playing on a Game & Watch game, which is like the really old Game Boys.
Gross.
So when you're playing on the stage, it flips through different games and like the different like characters come up. So I thought it could kind of reference that, but instead of obviously old games being the stage, it would be old cartoons.
Cool.
So I thought we could even reference like the Alice comedies. So this is the very first cartoons Walt Disney ever made. So it'd be like kind of in a frame, like you may be watching it on a projector. So it'll be very simple kind of stage, but then it'll change into like something else. And maybe the stage could then transform into like one of Oswald's cartoons. So it's all quite simple things, but I thought it would be a cool reference to like Disney history. And then for Oswald's final smash, I thought we could reference his very first animated short, which was called Trolley Trouble. And he could come through on this little trolley. He goes into it and they become these little characters in there. And then it goes shooting off. Do they survive? Do they not? Let's find out.
Oh, right, so they go in the trolley and then he drags
And then
them
it
off.
goes boom.
Ah, that's like the car
And then they have to
thing.
try and jump back on.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's better than I thought it was going to be. It's more thought out.
Oh, well, thank you.
But I would never pick that character.
Who are you? Who, me? Lucky Rabbit. That lucky Oswald Rabbit. Nicest rabbit that you ever knew.
So our final character that's just like a base roster character before we get onto the clone characters is Marth.